Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of The Boardroom, where, as always, we are live on Facebook. We would love to have your questions and your comments for our interviewee today, so if you have any, please do add them below. If you haven't managed to catch this live, don't worry, this will be streamed back, as always, on who'swho.mt, which is Malta's leading business portal. Now, today we're going to be talking about the green economy in detail, and we're also going to be talking about the opportunities that COVID has given us that cannot and should not be lost. And to help us to have that conversation and to get as much insight from it as possible, I am thrilled to welcome today's interviewee, MEP Miriam Dalli. Miriam is the Vice President of the Socialists and Democrats Group, and she is leading in many ways the Green Deal, head of the Labour Party's delegation to the European Parliament as well. Miriam, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon, Joe, and thank you for the invite.
Not at all. Now, you and I are both very passionate about the European Green Deal, and I'm very keen to share with our viewers all of your insight and all of the many reasons why this is something that we really need to get behind for the future of Malta, for the future of Europe, and in many ways, the future of the world. So let's just start with an introduction. What is the Green Deal, and why are you pushing for it as an MEP?
So the European Green Deal, I believe, is our recipe to actually move to a new economic model. It was launched last year by the new President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, and it will ultimately help us achieve carbon neutrality by 2050 across the EU. That is the European Union's aim, to have carbon neutrality across the European Union by 2050. Which would mean that we would need to change the way we have been doing business so far, and that we need to change also some of our behaviors, I would say, at the level of the member states, at the level of the EU, but also at our own individual level. So that would be, just a quick explanation on the European Green Deal as a whole. It is for the EU, but it is also for the member states. So each and every member state, no matter how big, no matter how small, needs to do their part, and that includes our own country, Malta.
Certainly. And for anyone that isn't aware or maybe hasn't realized yet why green is such a topic of conversation, why should we care about this? Why should business people and people on the ground be thinking that green has to be part of our future? Is it an option anymore?
I would say why green.
So we have actually lost sound with Miriam at the moment. So Miriam, I'm not sure why we've lost sound. Miriam, can you hear me at the moment? You can hear me. Okay. I'm just checking with our producers and we can't actually hear you. Don't worry. Do you want to maybe try plugging in your headphones again? There we go. We got you there. So I think it is the headphones. We can try without the headphones. And unplug maybe.
If this
there we go. Okay, perfect. It's working now.
Sorry,
so it's
sorry about that, Joe.
Not at all. However, if we can take it back, because you were clearly giving us some great information there about why we need to care about going green.
We have to go green because our livelihood is in danger. And when I'm saying our livelihood is in danger, this is not some abstract concept that will happen, very far away from us, or that will happen in the distant future. It is happening now, and we're seeing it happening in different parts of the world. We live in the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean is one of the most regions that will suffer and is already suffering with climate change. Maybe we do not realize because we do not see the changes happening all the time, but they're happening around us. We're seeing weather extremities, and all of these are part of climate change. But they will have an impact on the way we live, on the way we do business, on the way our economies work, on the way we live our daily lives. So I do not see the Green Deal as an option. I think the Green Deal is a necessity. And it is not only about the environmental issues, it is about economic issues, and it is about social issues as well. The three are interlinked, and definitely they need to work together.
That's so interesting, Miriam. And obviously, for anybody that is interested in the green economy, anybody who's following, in my opinion, anybody who's paying attention to the way the world is working. I mean, we all know that COVID, in part, there are implications from even the way that animals have been treated, the way we are treating the planet. Everything is tied together. Are there really people today that are not fighting for this at high levels? Are there still people that think this is an option? And why is that? And what do we need to do to get through to people?
There are people who are skeptic. So there are people who think that an issue of industry versus the environment, that we need to make sure to protect our industries. But for them, protecting our industries means that we can't be too ambitious. And I think the pandemic that we're going through, particularly the experience in the initial stages, in the initial months, where we saw all economies closing down, we had a lot of people, even decision makers themselves, who are more on the conservative side of policy making, who are saying now the Green Deal, the European Green Deal, is no longer a priority. We need to make sure that we protect what we have. And I agree, we need to make sure that we protect what we have. But we can protect what we have by doing things differently. And I believe that if we do things differently, we can make sure that we create new opportunities. The European Green Deal is about creating opportunities. And this is about turning challenges into opportunities. And I think if we go into that frame of mind, and if we start realizing the opportunities that we have in front of us, even for small countries like ours, where you can't have big manufacturing plants that take a lot of land, but you need to make sure that you do the utmost with the least amount of land usage as possible. There is where the opportunities lie, and where I would like to see my country taking the lead.
Absolutely. And again, full agreement with you there. I can't wait to see Malta sort of shifting into a mindset where this is going to become reality. But let's be honest, are we doing that? I mean, we see at the moment, massive road projects going on, trees being uprooted, more building than ever. Everywhere we look, there is construction. Whereas what we need to be getting to is rewilding, afforestation, more green, a shift into a mentality that is actually going to work for us to be able to achieve this. Locally speaking, are we there? Are we getting there? And what should we be doing right now that, in my opinion, doesn't match up to where we are?
Let me be very honest. If we were there, I wouldn't be here with you discussing on the importance of, pushing forward the green agenda and pushing forward the Green Deal, not only for the European Union, but for Malta as well. So yes, we need to do things differently. And I do understand, for example, that there will be development as we go along, but we need to look at development that is being done sustainably, where you have energy efficiency, which is being put at the core of any project that is being developed. So when we speak about energy efficiency, then we're speaking about buildings that will provide also better quality of life to the inhabitants of that building itself, but also will help the environment, because it would mean that we would use less energy to actually build, and also for people to live in that building. We can do things aesthetically more pleasing, Joe. I think this is one of the issues that people feel strongly about, because some people tell you, yes, we understand that you can have development, but let's make it aesthetically pleasing. So here I'm deviating a bit from the Green Deal, but we have, in my point of view, village cores which are unique and amazingly beautiful, and which I would like us to retain. I think we still have some amazing village cores that I would like us to keep, because they are our own characteristic. But what is the Green Deal about? The Green Deal is about a shift in mentality. So if we're speaking about transport, shifting our mentality efficient and sustainable mobility. about giving incentives to cleaner mobility, about ensuring that we have the proper infrastructure, about buildings, making sure that we go for efficient buildings, about our industries, making sure that it is efficient industry and using circular economy. There are so many different ways and means on how we can achieve this. And it's not a project that will happen in a couple of years. This is a project that has to happen over a number of years. But to arrive there, we need to have intermediate targets. I'm a firm believer of intermediate targets. So don't come tell me we'll have carbon neutrality by 2050. Tell me how am I going to arrive there. Tell me what target I need to reach in 2030. Then what targets I have to reach in 2040. It will help people make sure, that we're on track. It means accountability to ensure that governments are on track, but it also gives peace of mind. We can actually, arrive to these targets.
Excellent. So let's talk about the pillars that we need to be thinking about when it comes to achieving carbon neutrality by 2050, and also how urgently we need to start seeing change.
We have to start seeing change now. But as I said, rather than seeing change, I would say we have to start implementing measures now. Because if we implement measures today, we will see changes in the years to come. So it will not be an issue of, you've implemented something today and the day after you start seeing change. It doesn't happen that way. So the more we postpone things, the more this 2050 target of carbon neutrality will move forward in the years. It will not be at 2050 if we continue postponing things. It will happen 2060, 2070. So we need to make sure that we have legislation in place. It's not only about legislation, it's also about enforcing things. It's also about incentivizing things. Because policy is there, government implements policy, but many times that policy has to be implemented or brought into action by private partners, by the industry. There needs to be incentives, and I understand that because it is a transition, it requires change. Change doesn't happen on its own. Many times it requires financial investment, and it has to be a partnership between industry, between the private sector, the public sector, government, and different players.
Absolutely. So if I had to ask you right now to say what should be implemented in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, that's going to help us to at least kickstart this in the right direction, what would you be saying has to happen imminently?
We need to make sure that we have proper enforcement. So if we have, for example, the Energy Performance Building Directive, which was transposed into national law this March, let's make sure that everyone is aware about what that means, because it provides also standards for new buildings that have to be energy efficient. The Energy Performance Building provides also for charging infrastructure, where you have big parking spaces. So there are all these different issues within it that can push change. But we need to make sure that that directive that now has been transposed into law is actually being implemented in real life. I would like to see, for example, in the next year or so, more incentives to cleaner mobility. And when I speak about cleaner mobility, I'm not speaking only about electric vehicles, because we have this perception that clean mobility is about electric vehicles. It's not. It's about much more than that. It's about incentivizing bicycles. It's about incentivizing electric scooters. It's about making sure that people can catch public transport, which is efficient for them, which is within a walking distance, and which will help them arrive at the point of destination on time and in an efficient way. There are these very little things that we can start doing straight away, and which can help us arrive at this target of carbon neutrality. So this isn't a dream that someone was thinking about, somewhere distant. This is something that we can implement in our daily life. So, for example, just to mention quickly something, the circular economy.
Mm-hmm.
We have worked on the circular economy during the past years in the European Parliament. It has been agreed upon, and now member states have to implement the circular economy. But implementing the circular economy is something that can happen as ASAP, but it means that we need to shift the way we have been doing things. So rather than, I don't know, using my mobile, and now, after 3 years or so, I get rid of it and dispose of it, we need to have products that we can use, but then when the time is up, we make sure that either we reuse them or we use their components to do something else with them, but making sure that instead of disposing of things, we continue putting the same things into the same value chain. It takes time for that to happen, but it can happen.
And where do you believe that this needs to stem from, Miriam? Would you say that it's the consumer that has to push this, the businesses that have to push this, the government that has to push this, the EU that has to push this? I know that obviously they all play a part, but I feel like right now we're so busy saying, oh, the EU has to do that, businesses need to ask for it, the consumer doesn't care enough. Where do we start to actually see traction?
So the European Union would come up with a proposal, and the European Union has the tools to actually make sure that the member states implement things, because the European Union has the power to issue a breach where a member state doesn't comply or is lagging behind on certain issues. So I would say the European Union is the one that issues the proposal per se, but then it has to push and incentivize that change through funding and through other programs. The government plays an extremely important role, not only because it enacts legislations, but because it can make the implementation of certain things much more easier by incentivizing the business partners, and also by incentivizing consumers. Businesses have an important role to play as well, because they are the ones who ultimately can adopt new technology or can invest in new technology to make their businesses more sustainable and more carbon neutral, or with less carbon emissions. Consumers have to do their part as well. So if we're speaking, I don't know, about the circular economy, if we're speaking about waste and waste separation from home, consumers have an extremely important role there. But consumers have an important role also in when they have to choose a product over another product. I think we still lack enough awareness, and maybe this has to come also from the government to launch certain awareness campaigns so that consumers are aware the carbon footprint of a product over another. Let's face it, Joe, consumers ultimately look at the price as well. So until we will have products which are extremely more expensive compared to others, and you would have an expensive product which consumed less CO2 for it to be produced versus another which is cheaper but consumed much more less CO2 and was much more polluting. You have consumers that would go for the less polluting product, but probably the majority would go for the cheaper price. So we need to make sure that even through government policy, we help and incentivize those products that pollute less. So, it's like a chain reaction. Everyone, all the loops have an important role, and one loop wouldn't probably work without the other.
Agreed. I know you have a campaign at the moment, Miriam, which is Small Changes, Big Impact. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about that as well. What inspired it? And again, what you're hoping will be the tangible results.
So, Small Changes, Big Impact. The name says it all in a nutshell, because we were always hearing, but what can I do? Climate change is such a big topic, and carbon neutrality is such a big topic, and decarbonizing our economy is such a big topic. What can I do in my individual capacity? And we realized that each and every one of us, if we change some of our behaviors, we can start addressing the issue. So I will just mention one example, that it was a mini campaign that we launched this summer. So, summer, Malta, people go to the beaches. We had a situation where smoking was prohibited in closed places. So people who smoke were going out outside a restaurant, for example, to smoke, or in a public place. And we were realizing that we were seeing a lot of cigarette butts being thrown out. being thrown on our streets, unfortunately next to our beaches, on the sand, etc. And most of those cigarette butts were ending up in the sea. So we started distributing these small ashtrays that you can put next to you when you are at the beach. So you can put it in the sand and at least it's there. And the idea is, so I'm not a smoker and I would rather have no one smoke, but the reality is that people do smoke. So if they smoke next to a beach, I would rather have them throw the cigarette butts in this portable ashtray rather than throw it in the sand and then it ends up in the sea. So that is just one quick example. The way we commute. So if we can use our cars less and we go for alternative modes of transport, that is another example that we can, it's a small change that we can do and which can have a big impact. But this project is trying to bring together different aspects. So we are speaking about sustainable businesses, we are speaking about energy, we are speaking about our seas, we are speaking about the way we produce and consume food. It speaks about mobility, public spaces, etc. And we got together around 60 persons, including representatives of NGOs, that are coming together, that are brainstorming about different ideas, speaking with the business community, speaking with different stakeholders, so that we come up with policy proposals that then I would like to push and present both in the European Union level and also at the national level.
Fantastic. And let's talk about COVID a little bit, because obviously COVID has been a huge shock. I think if you said to us this time last year that we were putting in place certain things that have now become part of our daily life, you would have been laughed at. But of course, we have benefits from COVID for the environment and for the green economy. Things like the fact that you and I are having this meeting right now online, whereas before we would have been in a studio with lots of lights and all come together and it would have been very carbon inefficient. But then we do have other challenges, like, for instance, hairdressers going back to disposable things, lots of plastic being used. Again, you can't even now get your coffee in a reusable cup anymore. So even if you were used to trying to make that effort, unfortunately, all of these good habits have been undone by COVID. So when we look at the business community, how can we bridge the opportunities with the challenges of having to go back to a more disposable lifestyle?
That's true. That's one of the challenges that COVID brought about. There is another challenge which I will refer to quickly and then go back to your question. When we had the first reactions to COVID, people were thinking, wow, this is great for the environment, people are not commuting, there are less cars on our roads, so less pollution, etc. We introduced remote working, for example, which I have to be very honest with you, I'm a big advocate for, and which I hope that, we continue seeing more of. So there were these really good examples that I was hoping we would carry on with. And then when everything started opening up, I felt that we were going back to our own old habits. And to retain certain habits, it became much more difficult. So we started seeing more cars on our road, less places of work that were, so passionate about remote working. And that's where I see that we can risk losing an opportunity, because for me, COVID showed how quickly people can change. We always say people are resistant to change, they will not go for that, but COVID showed how people can change quickly.
Exactly.
So, if everyone before had to do physical meetings, then all of a sudden we started feeling comfortable with doing remote meetings and people working remotely from home, people using less cars, etc. To maintain that, I think we need to have the will and the determination also at policy level to start pushing in that direction. So incentivizing remote working, incentivizing people who use their car less. So there has to be this policy also rethinking on how we can move things in that direction. Then there is the challenge that you mentioned. So we managed to cut CO2 in certain areas, but then all of a sudden we saw that we were going back to disposable cutlery, to disposable plates, disposable cups, etc. We started seeing an increase in plastics being used, masks, gloves, things that before we were so much advocating about, about reducing. So here where you have the balance between the health aspect and also the balance between the environmental aspect. I think the knee-jerk reaction for everyone, and it's fully understandable, is to give health a priority. And that point in time, health-wise, we all believe that yes, we need masks, we need gloves, we need to go to disposable cutlery, etc. But now I'm seeing a shift. People are thinking about alternatives. So what is the alternative to a mask that I have to change every single day? And alternatives do exist. What is the alternative to plastic cutlery? We have bamboo cutlery. It's a bit more expensive, but for example, this is another idea I'm thinking about, how we can start giving out bamboo cutlery to people so that they can use and they can keep. It will take some time because, all of a sudden we have to go back to what we were used to before. But I think the change will happen if we try to push more for it.
Absolutely. What are your opinions on bans in this area? I mean, we're seeing a number of countries, slowly banning, not even slowly, some coming with an outright ban on things like single-use cups, single-use plastic, etc. And from where I'm sitting, I think that's great, because I think if you ban it, that's it, job done, and people have to find an alternative in the same way that we have had to find ways to make things work during COVID. So what is your opinion there? Should Malta be banning more things that are causing us problems, like single-use plastic?
I'm not against banning, but I want to make sure that alternatives exist. So when you ban something, I would want to make sure that there are alternatives and that those alternatives are socially acceptable as well. And I'm saying socially acceptable, particularly when it comes to the price tag of certain things. I do understand that if I'm going for bamboo cutlery, it will be more expensive than the plastic cutlery. But you need to make sure that the prices are acceptable for the majority of people, that it will not put undue financial pressure on certain people and on the industry. So many times I'm maybe more favorable to phasing out rather than banning straight away from one day to the other, because phasing out will give people some time to find alternatives, to make sure that the prices do stabilize and that also industry can be well prepared for it.
Certainly. Okay, before we start wrapping up, I would love to hear your thoughts on opportunities related to the Green Deal. I feel like maybe Maltese businesses, we think, oh, it's not for us. There aren't that many opportunities around green initiatives or even within the green economy itself. But what do you see as potential areas where Malta could pick up some business from Green Deals? At the moment, we're facing issues with, tourism being hit hard, other sectors being hit hard. Could any business people watching this today find some inspiration in some great green ideas that they could bring to the fore?
The Green Deal is interlinked directly with digitization. So when we speak about the Green Deal, we're speaking also about digitization, because if we want to change certain industries or certain ways of doing business, we have to think also with the technological advancements there are, how we make things smarter and how we can put in the digitization into the Green Deal aspect. And that's where I see the opportunities for us. So a small country like ours needs to make sure that we're really at the forefront of digitization, that we're really at the forefront of developing smart solutions. So when we speak, for example, about mobility, in my point of view, the Green Deal provides an enormous opportunity to the mobility sector, because we can have smart mobility. We're speaking a lot, for example, about autonomous driving and the opportunities that autonomous driving can bring. When we are speaking about smart mobility, it means that people would, for example, have also at the palm of their hands where is the next parking spot, so they know exactly where they can go and park. I'm mentioning some really concrete, simple ideas, but to make it a bit more concrete. But instead of going around in circles, I know, because I'm connected to the smart mobility platform, where the next parking spot is, and I go directly there. Speaking about smart grids, so when we're speaking about the Green Deal, we're also talking about technologies that can help us have smart grids where you can produce energy that feeds into the grid, and where the grid provides you with cleaner energy as well. So you have this demand and supply. When we're speaking about, for example, the automotive industry, we're moving from internal combustion engines, which have a lot of different components, to something which is much more simpler, but which can provide an opportunity for the multi-sector, where I know that we already have some companies that develop components for zero and low emission vehicles, and I think that is something that can be expanded even further. When we speak about remote working, for example, so people are commuting less CO2, and less office space. I think companies are starting to realize that if they introduce more flexible measures, it would mean that they might need less office space. And that would mean also less of an expense to these companies themselves. There will be challenges, but if we start preparing now, we can prepare for the transition, and we can start addressing those challenges now and make sure that we start investing into the new opportunities. And we need to upskill and reskill workers. Mm-hmm. My main concern would be if we leave this for far too late, and then we realize that our young people are not prepared for these new jobs, mm-hmm. and that we have people that are already in employment who do not have the skills, the required skills for these new jobs. So this is also linked with our education system. I prefer a model where we say, where do we want to take Malta in the next 10 to 15 years? Which niche industries we want to attract in the next 10 to 15 years? And we know where we want to go. And then once we know where we want to go, we prepare the infrastructure to attract those industries, and we prepare our human resources, our young adults, our workers, to be prepared for those jobs. And you can do that if you plan in the longer term. There is also then, it has to be a mix also with the opportunistic aspect. You know, there is an opportunity and you go for it. I'm fine with that as well. But I don't think that can be our own model, our only model. It has to be a mix of the two. And we prepare our workforce for these new jobs and make sure that we attract these new industries.
Certainly. Well, in agreement with you there. I love the picture that we're painting. I mean, like you, I grew up in a Malta where we had, Shumimu 30 years ago, who was trying to tell us how to keep our island. You know, have we learned enough in those 30 years? I'm not sure. I drive down the road and I see, trees being uprooted, mature trees being uprooted to put a road through them. Have we learned enough? Do we realize enough? I'm not sure. So paint a picture for us, Miriam, as we wrap up our conversation today. And I've loved so much of what you've said. Paint a picture of what it could look like if we embrace this future. What can our viewers look forward to?
It would mean, and this is what I would aim for, to be honest with you, it would mean cleaner air. I think we need to start acknowledging that we have an issue with air quality and we need to address air quality on our islands. It would mean less dust. If there is something that really bothers me, and I think it bothers a lot of people, is that you see a lot of dust everywhere. And I think that is something that we need to also promote, a cleaner Malta. I would like to see a cleaner, greener Malta, where we're not only looking at our economic success by just calculating GDPs, but looking at our economic success by saying, yes, we have people where they have a good quality of life in our country, where they can enjoy themselves, where we give enough importance to our environment. But it's because we realized as well that giving importance to our environment creates also an economic opportunity. So that's why I insist so much on the Green Deal, because it will protect our environment, but it will also create economic opportunities for all of us.
Absolutely. Well, Miriam, absolutely wonderful to speak to you. I always enjoy our conversations, and you certainly give hope, I think, to the people that are looking forward to a greener, cleaner future that isn't just about that future, but also the opportunities that it can provide. So thank you so much for being with me today on The Boardroom, and to all our viewers at home or at the office. Great to have you with us as always, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Boardroom.